Parfait, donc on a donné déjà les instructions à l'équipe G. Donc, on va laisser les juges se présenter. Puis, quand ils auront fini de se présenter, vous allez pouvoir commencer votre présentation. Dès que la première personne commence à parler, le timer part. Est-ce que vous avez encore le lien du timer dans la conversation? Oui, parfait. Donc, je laisse les juges se présenter.
Hi everyone, my name is Kimi Parent. I'm a Director Portfolio Management for the National Account and National Bank. Thank you.
Yeah, good morning everyone. I'm Émeric Trottier. I'm a Senior Advisor for the Desjardins Group Employees Pension Plan.
Hello, my name is Viviane Dorval. I'm President and CEO of Le Groupe Diapason in Mergers and Acquisitions.
Hello, my name is Jérémy Dessert. I am a Senior Analyst for Autorité des marchés financiers.
Donc, l'équipe G, quand vous êtes prêts, vous pouvez y aller.
The average human makes 35,000 decisions on a daily basis. We make constant decisions such as, do we want to go to work today or just call in sick? Do we want to eat something specific for dinner or something else? Constant decisions like this and the decisions that weigh on us on a daily basis to make sure that we're doing the right one. Hi, my name is Raj, and with the help of my colleagues Neil and Zora, we are great consulting because in life, nothing is black and white. We are here today to review Dorsey & Gamby Investment Management, or DGIM, of the breaches of conduct that were outlined by the CFA Institute Code of Ethics. What we're going to be looking at is what CFA standards that were breached, why were they breached, and how can DGIM prevent this in the future. To start off, let's look at the key players here. We can start with Miriam Gamby and Jack Dorsey, the two founders of DGIM. Gamby announces her retirement, leaving Dorsey the one in charge. He also has to take more responsibility as investment officer and has 3 meetings lined up with Andre Norput, Skip Madison, and Ford Woodman. The decisions that are going to be made are going to influence DGIM, the firm, the industry, the other CFA professionals, and the other employees that are at the firm. As you can see, here's a little timeline of everything that's going to go on, so let's just dive right in. The first one is the Snake Fund. We can start with Andre Norput, who is a portfolio manager that manages the Snake Fund. He meets up with Dorsey, who is a good friend, and Dorsey assigns Chauncey Peck to overview a complete due diligence of the fund. Now, Dorsey does mention to Chauncey to do it quickly, and because of that, Chauncey Peck does not complete a proper due diligence. Dorsey's influence can affect future decisions making and can affect more investments to be made quickly and rational in the future. This is a breach of standard 1B and a breach of 5A. We can also look at how there's a quick due diligence that was asked by Dorsey to be made and approved it immediately. Now, if the investment does not work out, it will be his fault that he did not review it properly since he approved it right away. This is a breach of standard 4C and a breach of standard 7A. There's also the preferential treatment that could be looked up into this since Norput and Dorsey are close friends, and this could affect the due diligence process and in other investments too. If anything were to happen to the Snake Fund, clients might be worried that the analysis was not properly conducted, and this could affect them in the future. This is a breach of standard 6A and a breach of standard 7A. And finally, after everything, Dorsey announces the Snake Fund to all clients, although it's not properly analyzed. This could lead to severe damages to DGIM, and their reputation could be tarnished while losing clients. This is a breach of standard 5B and a breach of standard 3A. Now, with all of this, what we need to look at is how DGIM needs to implement investment policies that will be overseen by a CCO. And with this, we have a 3-policy plan. Policy 1 would be a 3-step questionnaire to make sure that the investments are done properly and made that there's no unbiased information. We can also look at how hiring a chief compliance officer will ensure that there's everything done properly and reduce Dorsey's workload so he can better prepare for his own role. And finally, we can ensure that all employees are making sure that they're following the GIPS standards and to ensure all employees are following the guidelines properly.
So during the discussion between Skip Madison and Dorsey, we identified that first of all, there was a fee problem. There was no commission paid, but a presence of management fee as well as a retainer fee. So these fees can be actually interpreted as being an allocation to the manager, which can affect actually the client's perspective for the investments. If you think about it, if the actual return is 5%, it's not really 5%. So Dorsey breach standard 5C as well as standard 6C, which is referral fees, and one which is independence and objectivity. The second issue is there was a false information being presented in the brochure. Dorsey didn't explain all the facts about the fund, therefore he can mislead the firm's client, which consists of engaging in dishonest professional conduct, which is a breach of standard 1D, as well as 1C, which is misrepresentation, and finally 2B, which is market manipulation. There was also a question of good due diligence. Yes, it has been said before, but it also applies in this discussion. Dorsey had a great question though about the performance of the model. However, he should have asked Madison for a copy to do his appropriate due diligence and also show him how he came up to the index conclusion. Therefore, Dorsey violated standard 5C, which is record retention, as well as 5A, which is diligence and reasonable basis. Finally, Dorsey didn't disclose the limitation of the fund. Dorsey is not appropriately separating facts for opinion. He relied on his myopic persuasion of that 5% minimum return and 40% return about the index fund. This is a breach of standard 5B, which is communication with clients and prospective clients. With all these breaches, DGIM needs to implement policies. So first, we identified that they should put a disclosure form, which is a list of everything that should be disclosed to the client. This form takes just 5 minutes to fill in and should be sent to the CCO to be revised before the client presentation. Second of all, for every major investment meeting, there's going to be an assistant or a secretary that are going to take notes about everything and keep them in order before the clients make the decision at the end. Third of all, there's going to be a guideline which includes a question about client suitability as along with the benefits with the tax performance of the investment, and finally a risk. The fourth policy is a measurable risk policy that any research report must be signed off by a CCO prior to give it to clients.
Now, concerning Woodman and Dorsey's conversation, it is important to keep in mind that the further breaches are also breaches of standard 1 professionalism and standard 7. So to begin, when we're looking at the conversation, we see that Dorsey asks Woodman if he can wait before suspending the YF withdrawal rights, which leads to Woodman warning him that he has until the end of the week. Here we see that there is a clear breach of standard 3C, suitability. Afterwards, Dorsey sells his family shares and his own shares in the DGIM's feeder fund before the suspension, as he keeps the information to himself and acts on it. Based on that, we understand there's a breach of fair dealing, a breach of material non-public information, and a breach of priority of transaction. Dorsey also posts a message to clients on DGIM's website on his trust in the YF funds. We understand that this message of trust is based on opinions and not facts, which is why it's a breach of standard 5B, communication with the clients and prospective clients, and a breach of standard 3A, loyalty to clients. In the end, DGIM is forced to suspend its withdrawal funds from the DGIM funds. Afterwards, Woodman divulges non-public information from the Kerr Construction Management about their debt issues. Although Woodman did not sign a non-disclosure form, it leads to Dorsey acting on that material non-public information by taking a short position on his KC shareholdings, which makes it a breach of 2A. Dorsey also informs his portfolio managers to sell all of the KC shares owned by their clients, which is a breach of responsibility of supervisors. And in the end, the KC stock value drops by 30%. So now to understand more about that conversation, we understand that DGIM should implement policies for investment decisions in order to prevent actions on undisclosed information. Now, what are the policies that we can put in place? Well, the first policy would be the 3-step questionnaire. So what information is given, how the information is given, and should that information be given? The second policy is to establish a restricted list for personal trades with access to material non-public information. And the third policy is to designate an independent review committee to review major decisions affecting the client's funds. So now let's look on why did these breaches happen and how could they've been prevented. So now when we're looking at the why, we understand that Gambi's retirement was way too early, putting too much pressure on Dorsey. We also understand that Dorsey's low knowledge on the firm's due diligence process and procedures came into play. And lastly, we understand that Dorsey's very little investment experience clouded his good judgment. So these events transpired because DGIM does not have a clear investment policies and a company code of ethics. How could have they been prevented? Well, with Gambi's support, even though he's retiring, he still has a duty as a co-CIO, mentioned in his conversation with Dorsey, by implementing trainings on code of ethics, so frequent trainings for the management and clear guidelines, and hiring, so promoting an employee with investment experience with a pristine record as a CIO or the co-CIO, which is why Gray Consulting is happy to announce you our project, the C2C, or like we like to call it, the Care to Change. So in the Care program, it's a 1-hour training with a comprehensive test on the company's code of ethics that will be implemented every quarter. It'd be regulated by the new CCO, and it's considered in the employee's contract. The topics covered would be the new company code of conduct, the new company policies, and the CFA ethics. It will improve the employee's engagement and productivity, it will improve the employee's retention, and it will promote a stronger reputation, thereby attracting top talent. In all, the average human might be making 35,000 decisions in a day, but with a C2C, you only need to make one, the right one. We're a Gray Consultant, and we open the floor to questions. Thank you for listening.
Perfect. So when the judges will ask